wanted to hear the story. I thought you guys would be interested in the story of how this all came about. So, as you all know me, I'm Nancie Williams, member of this club. This is Alex Steeb. He owns Lux Foundation Solutions, and you'll see why we're together in just a minute. So this is about Shred Cube. This is an invention that Alex and I made, and we'll tell you why. So how did I think of this? 2005, I graduated law school and got licensed as an attorney. My very first job was in Alexandria, Virginia for a personal injury attorney. First thing I did is what we all do, is sat down at a computer. And he was pretty advanced attorney at the time, so a lot of the client stuff was kept on the computer. And of course, when you do personal injury law, you have a ton of medical records, and any attorney has a ton of very personal information about their clients, such as social security, date of birth, all that stuff. So I looked at my boss and I said, who was, much older than me at the time, and he would kill me if I said that. But anyway, so I looked at him and I said, what do you do with these old files? Because all they teach you in law school is how to destroy your files, right? Which is run them through a shredder, obviously. But when we started converting to computers in 2005, I looked at him and said, what do you do with it? He goes, I don't know. I knew just enough about computers to know that you could scrub or overwrite a hard drive. And I, in my head, got an idea that there should be a way to get rid of an actual file or folder on the computer where it could not be recovered, not destroying your entire computer. So I passed my idea over some IT people I met over the years. I've all said about this. No, or that already exists, or you can already do that. And it did. In 2005, there were a couple things online, downloadable online software. Well, why am I not going to do that? It's downloadable online software. I'm not going to use it. I'm a lawyer. I'm not letting somebody else into my computer to supposedly destroy files. That's not going to work. So I didn't like that idea, and it just kept nagging at me and nagging at me. So fast forward to 2000, and they kept saying I couldn't do it, and I said, I can, I think I can. But fast forward to 2019, where I meet Alex. So I had a completely different idea from reading some articles on electricity and stuff like that, because yes, very bizarre. My husband says people have no idea what runs through your head. So I texted good old Robert Hubman in our club, and I said, Robert, do you know a mechanical engineer? Because I knew for that idea in electricity that I needed a mechanical engineer. He said, yeah, I happen to know this guy, Alex. And my husband had already met Alex because Alex was trying to purchase some property and my husband was trying to help him out. So I said, oh, so I started texting with Alex and I said, I have this idea, would you meet with me? He's like, sure. So we met at the mill. Yay. So, later when we tell this story at hopefully the conventions, we'll be like, the mill from So my husband and I literally went and had lunch with Alex, and I told him about my idea. Of course, I slid over an NDA. I was like, I don't know you guy, but here you go. Here's my idea. I think it's worth something. So Alex was really receptive, and we're chatting along. And I said, by the way, I've got this other idea that I've always had, and I've always wanted to do it. And you seem just as crazy as me, and you seem to be understanding me. So let me tell you about it. And he, for the first time in 15 years, he looked at me and was like, yeah, it's totally doable. And I said, oh my gosh, would you like to do it with me? And he's like, sure. So then we go down the road of, we create a company. And it's called, uniquely enough, Shred Cube. So I told Alex, I said at the time that I told Alex about my idea, I had it all in my head. I said, it's called Shred Cube. This is what it does. It's a little device, and this is how it works, and da-da-da-da-da. And I had everything in my head, because again, that's 15 years of just going over and over and over in your head, right? So Alex was like, absolutely, I'll come on board. So now everybody asks, who do you work with now? Well, let me just tell you. We first had to find a software, a coding person, right? Because we knew how we wanted it to work, we knew what we wanted it to do, but we are not coders, so you've got to find somebody to code it. And of course, always sliding across the table is an NDA to anybody we work with. So we have a software engineer, or he's just a little guy in a closet. That's the way we picture him. We've never actually met him, coding away at our stuff. We have a patent attorney, because then the second thing was, we might want to patent this idea, and everybody says, oh, patent the idea. So does the technology to do what we're doing exist in the universe? It absolutely does. Has it ever existed in the way we're doing it? Absolutely not. So you can Google away all day long, you're not going to find this device. It does not exist. It's never been created, and no, it's never been invented. And yes, it's weird that I thought of it. I get it. Because that's what I get from everybody. So we also obviously have to have a bank. We have to have a manufacturer. So that's been fun. Alex has found and located them. These are people that we work with every day, by the way, just FYI, in addition to our full-time jobs. We have graphics that we have to do. We have a website developer. We have CRM software, which is, client or customer software. I'm learning all new terms and phrases I'll tell you about. We have, of course, our accountant, also sliding over the NDA. We have merchant services because we have to have a way to take in money. We have shipping. We went last week to visit our shipper, our fulfillment center in Pennsylvania. And we have to get software certificates because Apple and Microsoft, they very much do rule the world. So you have to enter the gates of Microsoft and Apple if you want to get anywhere with software. We have e-commerce. Of course, we have to set up not just a website, but an e-commerce site, which is a whole other back-end experience. And we have marketing. So this is kind of any given day, we're communicating with the majority of these people on any given day. We do a lot of video meetings, calls, chats, thousands of emails, thousands of text messages. That's what we do. So what do you need to do when you invent something? Kind of like building a house, everything. So when you see a product in the store, now I understand what it takes to make it. The cube itself, what did it look like? Because in my head, as Alex will tell you, it was very specific in my mind. I didn't want to veer from that. So the cube itself, what materials, how heavy does it have to be? How does it need to fold out? How does it need to insert into a computer? All of that had to be designed, and Alex designed all of that. You'll see some of his designs in a minute. The logo, the software, the user interface, which is actually the actual thing that you see on your computer screen, that had to be designed. And sadly, I had to learn how to draw very quickly. The actual box, the mechanism goes in. How big does it need to be? How thick? How tall? How wide? All of that matters to go to shipping because how big your box is adds pennies every time you add even a millimeter to a box. The foam inside the box, we have, for 2 weeks gone around about the color of the foam inside the box. So even that will cost money and require research. The back of the box, the website, and the e-commerce. So we're learning a lot along the way that we never thought. So it's a little bit like you see an end product, but you don't think about how the sausage is made. So making the sausage. So these are Alex's original CAD drawings, or the CAD drawings?
Yeah.
What CAD drawings?
Close enough.
So thank goodness Alex is a mechanical engineer because this is his purview. So I wouldn't have thought, and that's probably why I never got it off the ground, I would have never thought when I thought of Shred Cube to seek out a mechanical engineer, but that is literally the exact person that I needed. So Alex created the first renderings of it, and as Alex quickly learned with me and working with me, I love to see pictures. So as long as I'm getting pictures of something, and he would shoot me over pictures of literally just very little stuff, and I get very excited and stay motivated. So I said, just send me pictures, and I'll be really excited, I'll stay motivated and keep going. So then along the way, there were other renderings. There's the box, there's the logo. The manufacturer sent us pictures of them actually tooling the equipment, which is getting the equipment ready to punch out the actual product. That will cost you $5,000, FYI. That costs a lot of money. To get somebody to get actual metal to then punch out something in plastic costs a good amount of money. We got pictures from the manufacturer when they started to get some initial stuff in so that we could kind of initially see a little bit what it's going to look like. And then the drawings. So the first time our user interface came back, it was not super user-friendly. It was written, again, in code that was very computer speak. So the guy coding it was obviously very good in IT, but that's also how he spoke. But what I needed is I needed it to make sense to my 81-year-old father-in-law. So this program and my drawing, these are my drawings from my iPad, are literally built for my 81-year-old father-in-law to use. So it needed to be that simple because it's a very high-end concept for IT, or not really for IT, but it's a high-end concept for consumers, and I needed it to make complete sense and be very easy to use for consumers. So we finally got close to the end, a couple weeks ago, when we got the very first prototype in from our manufacturer, and I was super, super excited. And I have it here, if you guys want to pass it around, you can pass it around. Look at it, open the box. I was so excited about every little thing. So because it was a cool day, I think it was a cool day for Alex to actually finally see this thing, because again, all of this is done online, it's done on video, it's done on email, and to see the final actual physical product was really cool. And of course, we've tweaked it from that, so the actual product that will be out and that you can order online will be slightly different than that. So what does it do? It's the big question, right? So Alex, you can talk about this, because.
Sure. Okay. Everybody are okay with it, or you want this? Okay. Yeah. So this is just our user interface that we've developed. Like Nancy said, that we've been doing a lot of back-end coding, a lot of the firmware, the hardware that goes into this to be able to make it function in the way that it does. I think this got a quick video on it, right?
Yeah.
Can you play that? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is just kind of going through just the basics of it, being able to kind of go through, drag and drop. Pretty simple interface to be able to securely shred files. So again, this isn't just like throwing it in your recycling bin. It's where you can run like a data recovery software and regain those files back. So you can see just a kind of quick check, just on whether it's in clipboard or any other places can't be found. So it's been permanently wiped out. Don't know if I ran recovery on this. No, so okay, yeah, so we've done thorough checks with all the different various like data recovery softwares that are available on the consumer market. Back-end coding of it, when you start getting into the binary code, it's either random or a complete blank coding, depending on which selection you have there between like the faster and the shred and incinerate. So the faster is a random overwrite process. Pretty simple, just goes over the data one time so that way it's unreadable. The shred and incinerate is more of a DoD grade standard, so that's going to be more of your heavier files that you probably want to get through. So if you're dealing with a lot of social security numbers, you want to really make sure that it's gone. That's what that would be. So one of the biggest unique features wasn't shown on the video here. The second tab and the third tab is what we call locate all copies. So that locate all copies will actually go through any of your extended devices, any of your external hard drives, any multiple hard drives on your computer, multiple locations on your computer. So if there's that file that you've made copies over the year, it's going to find every single iteration of that, as long as you haven't changed the file, obviously, to something completely different. But if it's stayed within relatively close to what it already is, change the name even, change the file type, it's going to find that copy. And it's going to be able to locate all those and be able to go through that same overwrite process because we know that, when you just go for that one file, you're not getting rid of it, it's found somewhere else on a temporary, like saved in your Word documents or something like that, and the backups. So this is going through and finding everything, so making it very clean and simple for everyone to find those files and overwrite them so they can't ever be recovered. So, and again, it's not destroying your operating system as it's doing that. So.
And just to give an example, so my father-in-law was getting rid of his laptop because Microsoft kept telling him, we're not going to support Windows 7. And he's like, I don't know what this means. So he got a new laptop, and his old laptop, he gave it to me so I could experiment on the program. So to give an example, he did a house closing and like a couple years ago, and of course the closing documents are on there. And I found, I drug and dropped the folder to this device, but then I asked that it locate all copies just for fun. So when the folder got put in here, it said there were 48 files in the folder. When I asked it to locate all copies, which he said, it's not going to be any, but I said, well, let's do it for fun. There were 150. So then it's shredded all 150. And the difference between this shred and the incinerate, as I say in regular people language, which Alex loves my regular people language, it's the difference of putting a piece of paper in a shredder versus putting it in a burn barrel. That's the difference, if you think about it from my perspective or a regular consumer perspective. So I can put it in the shredder, it's shredded, can't get it back, or I can burn it, and it's nothing but ash, you definitely can't get it back. The next video is
Oh, okay. So yeah, I guess I showed the difference between the shred and fast, shred and incinerate. From a user's perspective, you don't really see tons of difference, but there's a lot of back end side that goes difference there. So we can see the slight animation difference there between a traditional shredder versus an incinerator, so that way you guys can see the difference as well as it's working and everything. So yeah, so that's just kind of a quick over there as we're running through that. Anything else? Bumps in the road. Yeah, there's a lot.
oh, wow.
So yeah.
Fun times, yes. Fun times. Yeah, did you know you had to pay for and register a UPC label? Super irritating. Yeah, the coronavirus, yeah. Never, ever did I think anything would ever affect me, but as Alex keeps telling me, find a chip manufacturer in the United States and I'll give you $1 billion.
Right.
So, yes, the coronavirus literally broke out in the exact city, same place that our chip is being manufactured. So the coronavirus has now affected these two
So we shouldn't touch that key.
Americans.
Don't touch it, Shane.
The shape, I really wanted it to be a cube because I wanted it a three-dimensional object that's similar to a shredder. It lights up, so I really wanted a lighting effect, so it lights up as it works. Does that do anything? Absolutely not. But is it fun? Yes. It's super fun. And it makes me feel and other people feel like it's working. Rob knows, it's in computers. So it lights up, so I wanted a cool pattern for it to light up in. Balancing. Let me tell you, you can ask Patrick. People ask me, is your family really excited? No. They are not. I tell them, it's a little bit like a singer that sung a song about 1,000,000 times, and you're like, I'm so sick of the song, and then they have to go out on tour and do concerts of it, and their kids have to come watch it, right? So my kids are like, if I ever have to hear about Shred Cube again, it'll be the last thing I do. So no, they're not super excited about it, because that's all they hear about. They really can't hear about my law job very much, because that's not something I can talk about. But they hear about Alex and Shred Cube all day, every day, all the time. Security of software, that was a big deal to get our software registered and certificates. So if you plug something in your computer, if you are not a certificate or registered with Microsoft and Apple, your computer all day long is going to recognize that as a virus. So in order to get our small mechanism to plug in your computer and not say this is a virus, we had to obtain those software certificates, and that was kind of a big deal to do. The hardware, so we have to, and we'll talk about the security measures on all of that, we had to make sure all of this was secure and ready to go. I was super excited, so Alex designed the entire back of our box, and I was just super excited about it. Even to the point getting on the phone with the patent attorney and making sure all the wording for the patent pending is there. We are under patent pending status with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Also, did you know that you have to register your patent not just here, but overseas, and you have to apply for actual brand new patent applications in China and places like China and Taiwan. You have to actually just do a brand new patent application there with an attorney there and everything else, so that will be fun to do. We believe the biggest thing on our patent application is this external driven device, because there are no devices out there that self-contained software on an external device. Literally, when you pull this device out of your computer, it's like it was never there. There is no software on your computer, there is nothing loaded, there are no log files. You pull it out and it's gone as if you never used it. So who can use the cube? Anybody. So this is developed for anyone and everyone that has ever used a computer for their job, their home, and anywhere that has files. I will tell you, we've been doing research, there's 241 million computers in the United States. That's just households, that's not employment. That's just how many households in the United States are estimated to have a computer, and that's 241 million. I will tell you, in the legal world, I'm not sure about yours, but we're like the kitten just hanging on the rope, like hang in there, because we know we can't have our client information taken, but nobody tells us how to not do that, right? So this is literally an issue that is ongoing in industries like mine that has never been, it's like, don't talk about it. Literally, if you go to a CLE or a conference, we just don't talk about it. I had an attorney tell me once, well, I have a bunch of CPUs just sitting in my basement, and we just stack them up, and then I shoot them, or I grill them. Amazon, like Amazon literally shreds their hard drives through a giant machine. You know, how inefficient, but they do it. So some of the other, Alex will talk about some of the security features, because when you're dealing with, what we realized is when you're dealing with banks and financial institutions, there are institutions that cannot plug in, they can't just readily plug any device into their computers. So Alex will briefly talk about our security.
Sure. Yeah, like so Nancie said, that there are security features, so we do have it catered. So consumer-driven plug-and-play feature can be readily available for most consumer laptops. And again, it doesn't have any major log files, things like that, that would recognize who's been using it and what, because we're trying to securely delete files, so we don't want to have a lot of trace elements in there. But when we start getting into like banks and other financial companies, they have very specific security protocols, so we can even cater their software to meet those, because a lot of what the major companies like Google and Apple are starting to move to is what we call two-part authentication process. So a lot of people see, things like the text messages and the phone calls that they're getting. So a lot of our software can actually be catered to that two-part authentication process. They even have what we call security keys, which are physical devices, which are actually 10 times more secure than just having passwords, because you actually have to have a physical key to unlock your computer, which is what all 85,000 Google employees ended up getting about 2 years ago. So they started moving over towards that, as well as also Apple's just recently added that into some of their software as well too. So it's slowly starting to move over to that, but banks as well. A lot of the back-end IT guys using security keys for quite some time. So we mirror a lot of that process as well to make sure that, again, we're securely deleting things. So when it comes to the banks, they got to know who did what, so there is that degree of having the user security keys there. But that's how that software would get catered to banks without getting too lost in the details of it. But yeah, I mean, that would be quite a bit about it. So.
And we're already working on version 2, which is the to work with the cloud and mobile devices. So you would be able to, if you have any cloud storage, you'd be able to shred from the cloud storage and your mobile phone or your tablet also. So our patent does include those ideas as well, because believe it or not, you own your data that you store on Google. So there are ways to get it off of Google and to make Google shred your data from that. And we're gonna help everybody do that. So we'll take any questions you have. Michael.
How much does it cost you